Now we stick with the subject of food, as that's the speciality of writer and broadcaster Stefan Gates. He's been jetting around the world attending colourful festivals as part of our series Feasts. He's back from his travels and we'll speak to him in a moment. But first, let's get a flavour of his experiences.
Wow, I'm ready for anything now.
Well, Stefan joins me now, and for once, he's not wearing a silly outfit.
I know, get me, look, it's a proper suit, this is.
But you have been painted like a tiger, haven't you? You've been dressed up as an old granny in Mexico, you've run through the streets of Japan with thousands of naked men. Is there anything you won't do to be on television?
Largely not, no. I mean, what have you got to offer me? It's a way of trying to get under the skin of other cultures. And to be honest, I think we find it quite difficult to understand really deep parts of other people's cultures. And so when you throw yourselves into it, when you do the silly stuff, when you get drunk, when you do the stuff that people around you are doing in a completely different culture to your own, I think you get a bit of a sense of how it works. Or actually, not even how it works, but how it feels to be Japanese just for a day, or how it feels to be in the midst of something extraordinary in India.
So you're saying all this dressing about and kind of larking around was actually kind of anthropology, was it?
On many levels, it is. It's a sort of an analysis of how a culture works. I mean, there is another level which says, it's a party! And to be honest, when we first came up with the idea of this, I was at the end of a long meeting of ideas where I'd pitched all these very complicated, very, very worthy ideas. And then at the end of it, in a bit of a huff, because none of the ideas quite worked, I left the room saying, well, I could just go to the biggest parties in the world. And as I was leaving, the commissioner said, oh, that sounds good. And I thought, what? Are you serious? Are you going to let me do this? And I thought it would be a breeze, I have to say. I thought, I'm just going to go around to the big feasts, the weddings, the funerals, the big moments in people's lives, and sort of basically find out how people have fun. Oh, how wrong I was. It was horrific at times.
What was the worst moment for you on these trips?
I think the worst part was at the end of Pulikali. Pulikali is a huge tiger dance ceremony in Kerala in India. And basically you get painted. First of all, you get your entire body shaved. First of all, you're shaved with a rusty old razor. It has to be rusty for some reason. And then you get painted basically with household paint. But in a beautiful tiger, and so the eyes of the tiger are your nipples, and the mouth is your belly button, and you're completely
Don't
orange.
go any further.
No, I won't go any further. Stop right there. Then at the end of it, the paint has to come off. So how would you go about removing household paint? You get terps, and a bunch of people rub turpentine or white spirit into your skin, and then they basically scrape it off.
Now, presumably, you've been going through the great festivals of the world and plotting a new adventure for yourself. Where are you going to go next, Stefan?
Next, I'm staying at home. Just for a little while. I want to stop eating in war zones and stop going and going to the most extraordinary places. Just be really nice to have a party at home. So, yeah, this weekend, it's my birthday, and I'm going to have a massive feast right there at home.
Brilliant. Well, enjoy that, and thank you very much indeed for coming on the show. Cheers. And if you're in Mexico City, you can see Stefan taking part in your country's Day of the Dead festival at 9:10 on Sunday morning.
I'm Stefan Gates. I'm on a journey to immerse myself in some of the most extraordinary feasts and festivals on Earth. I'm hoping that by joining in these mass celebrations, I'll be able to conquer my inhibitions and get under the skin of people and cultures around the world. I've just landed in the biggest city in the world, Mexico City, home to 18 million souls. But the most striking thing about this place isn't its size. It's built on the ruins of an ancient Aztec city. Today, Mexican blood is a mix of the old world and the new, the Aztecs and the Spanish conquistadors. But once a year, these wildly different cultures combine in one spectacular celebration.
I've come to Mexico City and it's a frenzy of activity here because in just under a week they'll be celebrating one of the world's most extraordinary festivals, Dia de los Muertos, the Mexican Day of the Dead.
Death is everywhere in Mexico. The Aztecs thought that death was the true state of being. Today, Mexicans believe the spirit of their ancestors visit them for 3 days. Day of the Dead is now one of the biggest feasts of the year. Everywhere I go, there are symbols of the dead, some of them with surprising additions.
It's got a bottle of Corona. Slightly macabre.
For me, death is something that's never really talked about. I want to find out if bringing it out in the open changes the way I feel. I've been told to bring mementos of my own dead relatives, although I have no idea what I've let myself in for. Thankfully, Day of the Dead is still a week away. While I prepare myself for the spiritual onslaught, I want to understand more about Mexico by joining in a very different celebration. I'm about to go to a Quinceaños, a 15-year-old girl's coming-of-age birthday bash. Like Day of the Dead, a Quinceaños is a fusion of Aztec culture and Spanish Catholicism. Back in 16th century Spain, turning 15 was the critical moment where a girl had to decide whether to give herself up to God and become a nun or get married. Today, the girls still have a crucial decision to make ahead of turning 15. But the big dilemma now is what to wear for their big party.
It's a whole district dedicated to clothes for quinceañeras and baptisms and all the bits and pieces, the bouquets and the plastic flowers and things that you might need. Terrifying for a bloke and for a father that, you know, girls want this kind of stuff, but the whole area is full of these wide-eyed girls, you know, full of their hopes and dreams that one day they're going to look like this.
As a dad of 2 little girls myself, I want to learn why families here are prepared to go to crippling lengths to give their daughters the biggest party of their lives. I go to meet the Aguileras, an upper-middle-class family in the north of the city.
Hola! Hola!
Sergio is an insurance broker. I guess you'd call him a thoroughly modern Mexican.
So this Carla? Hey Carla, I'm Stefan. Good to meet you.
In just 3 days, he and his wife Luz are throwing a quinceaños for their only daughter, Carla.
Hola, I'm Stefan. Hi there. That's quite an impressive stack of presents, isn't it? You can't open it yet, can you? Is that allowed?
Yes.
Really?
Wow, it's pink. I love pink. It's my favorite color. My brother, my mom, and my dad, but 20 years ago.
Wow.
In Luz's day, a quinceaños was a small party attended by close family and friends. But for Carla, things will be different.
She was little here.
Wow! She looks like a little doll there.
Yes.
She liked pink then as well.
Yes.
In the traditional Catholic celebration, the coming-of-age girl, or quinceañera, would wear a white dress showing her purity.
Wow.
Any other colour would be an outrage. But Carla is a thoroughly modern girl.
What's this, Carla?
Carla? It's my dress.
That's the dress.
Yes.
Wow, look at that. That's a lot of material.
Yes, it is.
So who chose this? Did you choose it or did Mum?
No, she
No,
did.
like, I was inspired in a movie,
Mm-hmm. Which one?
and the Diary of the Princess.
Aha, it's a very princess dress, isn't it?
Yes.
For Carla, the party might be about wearing a big dress and getting lots of presents. But for her father, Sergio, it means much, much more.
She looks lovely in it. I was amazed because she looks so different.
How do you feel when you see her wearing the dress?
Kind of awkward.
Why?
Because I think of her like my tiny girl still. And I find it kind of hard. of her changing the way of life.
And to see her as a woman.
Oh, yes. It is kind of hard for a father to do that.
Yeah, the idea of that with my
I'm so
daughters
jealous
terrifies me.
With 2 nights to go before the big event, Sergio invites me to another traditional Mexican celebration, one that's as far removed from the purity of a quinceaños as it's possible to get. Mexican wrestling is one of the most popular sports in the country. Every week, millions of viewers tune in to watch masked opponents battling it out in the time-honoured tradition of good versus evil. With chicks in bikinis and the odd dwarf thrown into the mix. Between fights, I get a chance to chat to Sergio mano a mano about what it's like losing his daughter to womanhood.
I'm wondering what you're feeling like. You know, you're spending a lot of money. How much is this going to cost you?
Like £9,000.
£9,000.
That's a lot of money.
It's a huge amount of money.
Yes, it's like buying a new car.
Yeah.
A mid-sized new car.
I mean, that must be a large proportion of your earnings.
Oh yes, it is. We have to save a long time for this.
Mm-hmm. Would you have preferred a cheaper venue or cheaper food, or
how much could I have saved with a cheaper party? If she wasn't happy, it was not worth it at all.
Which bit of the party are you most looking forward to yourself?
Okay, a waltz, and the waltz is like just being she and me alone for a moment. I expect it can be magic.
Whilst you can't put a price on magic, I'll just mention the waltz is costing Sergio twice the average Mexican salary. One of those costs is a private dance instructor. The dance is the moment when Sergio will present Carla as a woman to society, and he's leaving nothing to chance. Traditionally, the quinceañera would have a single male escort to accompany her for the evening. But like many modern girls, Carla's roped in 4 to try to make her big night the talk of the school. "9 a.m, the morning of the party. I'm checking in on Luz to see how she's doing.
Oh, look at you! You're very stressed out.
Yes.
Oh, so what is this? A
Cold sore.
cold sore.
Okay.
And is that because you're very nervous?
Yes.
Do you always get them when you're nervous?
Yes, I do. Yeah, but this time is worse than ever.
Will you be all right by later, do you think?
I hope so. I'm going to buy some medicine too.
There's clearly a huge amount at stake. We head off to the beauty salon to see if they can help.
I think it's a physical expression of your love for your daughter. How about that?
Well, yes, but you know, I don't like it.
You'll be gorgeous by tonight.
I hope so.
Luz isn't the only one feeling the heat. Carla has her own anxieties. Luz tells me that she's found it tough fitting in with her peers at school, but she's invited lots of them anyway. This could be her moment to lose her geeky image, to finally become cool. It's a risky strategy. Her popularity at school all depends on the success of tonight. Back at the house, the relatives are gathering. The biggest night in Carla's life has finally arrived.
Pues sí, no cabe nadie más.
Así, mi amor.
Just like in a fairy tale, Carla's carriage awaits. But first stop, the church. In the original Catholic ceremony, this was the time when a girl would have to decide whether to become a nun or get married.
Hoy venimos a consagrar la juventud de Carla Damiana. Esto data de tiempos muy antiguos, cuando la niña llegaba al tiempo de la pubertad. Hoy le venimos a decir eso al Señor. Venimos, Carla, a darle gracias por ti.
And just like that, Carla takes her first steps as a woman. After the ceremony, I asked Carla's priest what he makes of the modern-day quinceaños.
Siempre los 15 años, por el periodo de la mujer, están considerados, yo diría, como un culto, que de no ser esa fiesta, algo se rompió. La sociedad, con esta cultura light, ha hecho de los jóvenes como un producto de consumo.
But the mass consumption is only just beginning. The family's thrown a fortune into making the party seem as extravagant and as cool as possible. But for Sergio, tonight isn't about the cost. It's about a last dance with his daughter as a little girl and his first dance with her as a woman. Quinceañeras traditionally perform at least two dances, a waltz and then a more modern dance. It's all been very innocent, so what comes next is a bit of a surprise. It's been a huge emotional as well as financial strain for Sergio and Luz, but now they can finally let their hair down. It might all seem materialistic, but at the heart of the quinceaños is a critical moment in life. By embracing puberty, it transforms a difficult part of growing up into a celebration. For Carla, I'm just hoping it'll be a success. As the clock approaches midnight, the signs are looking good. It's the morning after the big party, and I'm hitting the road. I'm heading south to rural Oaxaca. Unlike Mexico City, the influence here is much more Aztec than Spanish. The Aztecs always celebrated death. Life, they said, is just a dream. Only in death are we truly awake. If there's ever a place where I'll see spirits coming back to Earth, this is going to be it. Today's Day of the Dead is a 3-day festival mixing the ancient Aztec traditions with the Catholic All Saints' Day. It's very different from the way I've grown up to think about death, which is, well, not to think about it at all. I wonder if celebrating something I prefer to avoid will make it easier to deal with.